Hello everyone, and welcome to Making a Cheap Guitar Awesome Part 4, the neck. Here's a accidental shot I took of it. Thought it was neat. So again, here's the body, here's what the neck originally looked like. And the first thing I'm doing here is I put a center line down to line up my new inlays, and you can see that the center line doesn't match up with the old inlays because they weren't put in exactly straight. Here I'm just scoring around where the inlay line is. I'm putting in block inlays. This will help keep the wood from chipping out later on. You can see the score marks here. And then I went ahead and I scratched out a little more area so that way I could see the entirety of what I needed to cut out better. Drilling a pilot hole so that the Dremel bit has a place to go. I like to drill straight into the old inlays because they're plastic and easy to drill through. See the holes here. Let me just start. I go around the outline and chisel to deepen the scores a little bit. Again, just to keep the wood from chipping out. And I sharpen my chisel between every inlay. And of course, that inlay is a little bit over the line. You see the old one? That's going to come out. Just using the Dremel with a cutting bit, like an 1/8 inch, just to remove the bulk of the material. This goes slow, and I literally have to blow the dust out over and over. And then I finish up the holes with the chisel. Again, use a sharp chisel. If you really want to get in there, you can get the little tiny bits left over with a sharp razor blade. Like that. Okay, we got our holes cut. Putting in some glue here to seat the inlay, not using a whole lot. Putting the inlay in, the shell slightly porous on the back so it accepts the glue really well. You see they're a little proud of the fretboard on the edges. They'll be sanded down. I'll be re-radiusing the neck to around 16.5 inches, I believe it was. I fill in the edges with some rosewood dust, and I'll stain that later, glue it in. Okay, this is basically the filled in edges, and I'll sand all this back before I stain it. So this is lumen lay. This is what I'm using for my side dots, and I tried to cut it with my coping saw. It comes in this little tube, you have to cut it yourself, and it was so hard that it kept breaking my blades. So I attempted to use a razor blade, and it snapped the razor blade in half and went straight into my thumb. And it went very deep. I had to pour super glue in it to keep it from bleeding, and had to re-glue it over the next couple days. But took a day off, got back to work. See here, I've drilled and put in my lumen lay. All that will be filed off. You can see it takes forever to file it down. It's extremely hard, but extremely bright, so that's cool. Okay, here they are, kind of filed down. Still need to be finish sanded a bit. They look kind of neat like that, but when you turn out the lights, when they look really cool. Definitely, when you have sweat in your eyes on stage, make it a little bit easier to see your frets. Alright, so I made a little French polish poof here out of some paper towels, and that's what I'll use to rub some stain into my neck here. You just put it on, nice even coat, and later on you rub it off. It doesn't seem to penetrate into the inlays at all. You can always clean those off later. And I think I ended up staining the whole thing like 3 different times to try to darken it. So I made this little jig to re-radius the frets that I took out. I'm just going to use them now. I'm going to put stainless steel frets in this eventually, but for now we're going back with the old frets. This is going to give me about a 12-inch radius. It being a 16-inch neck, it'll give me a little bit more curve so that when I tap them in place, everything seats properly. And there's all the frets put back in. Now we gotta level these guys. To do that, use my Fret Guru beam, which, look up Fret Guru. It's basically a guy by himself. Tiny company who makes these, and he's awesome. And start with some 240 strip paper, sticky back stuff, and I'll stick that to the Guru board, or Guru beam. Then I press it down and try to burnish it down a little bit harder with the tape, kind of roll it on there. You need to mark your frets with a permanent marker so that as you're sanding, you can see the low part, the low points. Where the marker remains is where the low points are going to be at. You let gravity do the work, kind of move along the radius, just have a slight overlap. And just take your time. This is why I haven't put the nut back on the neck yet, in case anyone was wondering. And I remark my frets one more time, because I'm going to hit it with 320 paper next. And it's a good idea to write the grit on each side so you don't forget which is which. Alright, then you got to tape off your fretboard. I like to split the tape in the middle and then just overlap the pieces in between the frets in the middle. See, like I lay one piece down and then another piece on top, and then just let it overlap in the middle, and that way you can perfectly size your frets. And then just using a triangle file, just spend hours shaping your frets to make them round again. It's called crowning. They get flat after you level them with the beam, so this brings them back to your normal U fret shape. You just want to take your time and make a little flat ridge in the very middle, just as thin as you can make it, because you'll sand it off later, but you want to make sure everything stays at the proper height that you just leveled everything to. You can see here's a flat fret next to a roughly circled fret, round fret. And here we're hitting it with 320, 600, 800, hit it with 1000 after this. This is 800 still, and then hit it with 1000, and then hit it with 1500. And that's where I'm going to stop now. I'll polish it up later. And the reason I'm doing that is because I know it's going to take time to finish the body. So here's the lumen lays again. This is where we're at so far. Quick review, that's where we started. Regular looking neck. I think we've come a long way. Appreciate everybody watching and hanging out with me while I do this. It's real cool. Get feedback from you guys on Facebook and YouTube and all that. I think we're looking pretty good so far. Next time we get to tear apart the body. Thanks for supporting, guys. See you next time.